So from now on, we will be talking about weed control measures, and obviously herbicides play a big role in weed control. So I just want to briefly introduce the chemical weed control. I want to make these slides move. Okay, the question we may ask is, what is a herbicide? It's simply a chemical used to control weeds. You can have selective herbicide. That is the herbicide which can kill weeds leaving the crop unharmed. For example, atrazine in maize. We also have non-selective herbicides which can kill a plant or plants which it comes into contact with, or which could be glyphosate. So that chemical which doesn't discriminate in terms of killing is non-selective. So we have herbicides which are packed in containers, and they have some instructions. If we look at the world map, we may find that in the northern hemisphere, where we have these developed countries, this is where most of the herbicides are used, as well as Australia, South America. There's also South Africa, China, a bit of India, Egypt, and well, some countries in Africa use them, especially in large-scale farming areas. But smallholder farmers hardly use these products. This is just a brief history of herbicide technology. In 1896, copper sulfate was used for broadleaf weed control. By 1912, an attempt to use sulfuric acid, but it was not until 1944 where real herbicides, as we know them today, were developed. And the first herbicide to be developed was 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoxy acetic acid. This could actually kill weeds selectively in cereals. In the 1950s, we had the triazine herbicides being introduced, and the 2,4-D was also being used in Zimbabwe by that time. In 1965, we had the weed research team establishment at Henderson Research Station, which was supposed to research on weed technology improvement, specifically focusing on the use of herbicides. By 1974, glyphosate was introduced as non-selective herbicide. So when applying herbicides, we need sprayers. It can be also tractor boom sprayer or knapsack sprayer. So you need something to apply the herbicide. You need the knapsack or a tractor boom sprayer. Of course, nowadays, I mean, you can have the use of a drone or an aircraft applying herbicides. So what are the advantages of herbicide technology? They can eliminate early crop weed competition, leading to higher yields. You know, when we're talking about the critical period of weed control, you can actually reduce competition through application of the herbicides. You can reduce time spent weeding. Labor is released to do other jobs. It removes labor bottlenecks which occur from November to January. And there's a possibility of increasing the area which is planted. It can also be used under wet conditions. In fact, under wet conditions, mechanical methods are difficult to use. Now, it can allow this reduced tillage or conservation farming to be implemented. You know, conservation agriculture or Pfumvudza is a climate smart technology which can increase crop yields through timely planting. Its efficiency can be increased by the application of herbicides. Improvement of quality of life in smallholder farming areas. Chivinge reported that women spend 75% of their time weeding in the peak weeding periods from December to February in Zimbabwe. So if we use herbicides, these women can be released from this weeding, because most of the time they have to spend they have to weed, especially between December and February. We can effectively deal with the difficult to control weeds, e.g. Cyanodactylon and Cyperus esculentus. However, there are disadvantages. Herbicides are toxic substances. Here, if we talk of LD50, that is the amount of poison which kills half the organisms in a randomly chosen batch of named species, e.g. rats, measured in milligrams poison per kg body weight. So LD50 gives us any indication of how poisonous is this herbicide. Paraquat has got an LD50 of 100. We represent it with a purple triangle. It's very toxic. 2,4-D300 LD50, red triangle. MCPA 700, amber triangle. Glyphosate 4,320. This one is less toxic, a green triangle. So this information should be available to any person using the chemical. So herbicides are poisonous. We can indicate it by this sign. Now herbicide residues could end up in drinking water. It's a disadvantage. You may need to transport large quantities of water for spraying. Clean water may also not be available. Now, although herbicides have been available, you find that few farmers, especially under smallholder agriculture, use these herbicides. The question is why herbicides are not used widely by smallholder farmers in Zimbabwe. Chivinge in 1984 gave a figure of 1.5% of farmers who were actually using herbicides. That is smallholder farmers. I don't know whether this figure has changed. Now, some of the reasons why farmers may not be using herbicide technology, according to Chivinge, was that there was lack of awareness. During that time when that survey was done, about 99% of the farmers were not aware of herbicide technology. But this could have changed by now. Probably more farmers are aware of the herbicide technology. A few extension staff carry out herbicide demonstrations. Probably this is too risky. If you make a mistake, you can destroy the farmer's crop. There are also challenges with the sprayer calibration, which involves a lot of volume measurements and doing calculations. Making mistakes could be costly. The instructions are always in English, and probably farmers may need a different language. Also, cash is not available. So cash or capital, there's limited cash to purchase inputs at the right time. Farmers who sell their maize to GNB are sometimes not paid in cash. Sometimes farmers who grow crops at a loss, e.g. cotton or tobacco. If farmers have capital, then they can be in a position to buy these chemicals. But sometimes this is a serious problem. No credit facilities. Banks are not financing crop budgets. Lack of collateral with smallholder farmers or immovable property. Banks are not using land as collateral because it's risky. Low rainfall, climate change. Farmers may consider herbicide technology to be risky. frequent droughts and unreliable rainfall leading to frequent crop failures. If there's a serious crop failure and the farmer has used the herbicide like this previous season, then the farmer is not likely to use it again. Poor infrastructure and support systems. There may not be regular supply or regular and reliable supply of agricultural inputs, especially in rural areas. However, sprayers and insecticides sometimes can be found in some local shops, with the exception of herbicides. If the herbicides are there, they are limited. There's very little choice. Then packaging, sometimes herbicides are sold in large packs of 5 liters. Most farmers probably need 3 liters or less. And if you have big quantities, then the farmer is not able to find the capital. So this is herbicide packaging. But probably the packaging could have changed now. Instead of having just 5 liters, maybe 1 liter containers are now available. Now there was a survey which was carried out by Makangani Setal in Chiota, Narira, and Cholocho, which were used as demonstration sites for herbicides, just to find out from farmers what were the issues surrounding the herbicide technology. Now, the technical issues which were of concern to farmers was the time of herbicide application, especially use of herbicides under dry planting. Sometimes farmers, would plant under dry conditions. They wanted to know if they could apply herbicides. Now, repeated use of herbicides in the same season and between seasons in the same field. It was also an issue. The amount of herbicide applied per hectare, herbicide residual effects, how long does the herbicide last being active? What about intercropping and crop rotations? Can these herbicides affect these systems? Also, technical issues. The issue of toxicity versus efficacy. Does it mean the most toxic herbicide is the most efficacious herbicide? Is there a possibility of replanting fields where herbicides have been used in case of poor germination? And also range of herbicide formulation, liquids, granules, etc. Managerial issues. Some of the extension messages around herbicides were not very clear to the farmers. Language on labels difficult to understand. Availability of herbicides. Sometimes they don't find herbicides in shops. Cost-related issues. cost of the herbicide versus traditional weed control methods, which is cheaper. Some farmers may think maybe hiring labor is cheaper. Cost of knapsack sprayers. During that time, maybe the knapsack sprayers were very expensive. And environmental issues. Contamination of food by herbicides. Let's say if you use the herbicide, is it safe to eat the crop? What about the stove, which is eaten by animals? Is it safe if we use herbicides? So this is it on the herbicide, or the herbicides introduction, or introduction to herbicides. Let me come back. Are you still in?
Yes, Jericho.
I can see we are there are now four of you. Right, so this is it on the introduction of herbicides. I don't know, from your experiences, do you think smallholder farmers are now using herbicides? Or they just use hand weeding?
Most use hand weeding because their plots are small and the family forms the labor source for the land. So it's cost effective for them to use their hand weeding.
Oh, okay. What about the prices of herbicides? Do you think they are affordable for farmers? Especially the cost of Stella Star. Do you know what is the price of Stella Star?
Yeah, it's costly. It's about $70 a liter.
Or $70 a liter?
Yeah, $70 a liter. So it's so costly that smallholder farmers cannot buy them.
Yeah, even lecturers may not be able to buy them. If they are $70 a liter.
Oh, and also there's this other pre-emergent herbicide, the integrate. It also costs nearly $60 a liter. So yeah, of which those are the herbicides that are so effective, but they are costly, man. Smallholder farmers, they cannot buy them, so they end up to takura ivo personally, and some vachiri kungofunga kuti maherbicides anoda sei especially kuno kuthis side kwandiri kuno vanototaura kuti ndiri kunonzi kumiddle suburb kuchipangayo.
Okay.
Yeah, they are saying kuti if you are ukaisa munzi musugar beans mame, they are saying kuti ukashandisa beans dzinenge dzakasakurwa nevanhu beans herbicide, if you try to pay yield kubuda to be different, kuti kuti maherbicide akaita sana bendazone akaita sana chii, they have an effect yaanawo pakuya ndo kutaura kwavanenge vachiita kuti anoika
phytotoxic effects, isn't it? But the legume will always grow out of that phytotoxic effect.
Yeah. So that with that effect manje, some farmers they are now thinking kuti since vanenge vachitohauma mahectares anenge ari madiki nearly 10-20 hectares, so they are now considering kuti haya vanhu and using maherbicide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is it. Anyway, just find some issues on the smallholder farmers. But I think on other farms, herbicides could make a big difference. So tomorrow I think you will have Dr. Rugare talking about these herbicides. But as I've said, I'll find a slot where I'll quickly explain about weed control thresholds, which may not be probably clear on the area slides. I'll see when I can do that, or I'll just post a pre-recorded lecture so that you go through it at some point. It will be a short one, just to explain some issues on those graphs which I was talking about during the first lectures. Otherwise, I'm going to stop here. Any other issue?
Nanda kufunza doc in relation to the assignment kuti tiri kusubmita on which platform?
Munondisendera by email.
Saka tomurozesera your email address mugroup.
All right. Or you can physically hand in if you want.
Yanga iri June nhasi saka tatisiri pacampus.
Okay. Yeah, just I'll put an email on the Papa group.
Okay, Tom,
so
thank you.
Send. Otherwise, Mama Pedro.
Hatisati.
All right, Kadama Pedro, just send that to the email.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably pani muna baba assignment makapo.
Tine mamwe atakapuwa total gun.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some, maybe one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, pani zvatakabva nhasi, maybe one or two.
Yeah.
But for what I am sending you, I just want you to try and answer the questions. Musazoise my references.
All right, talk.
Because I want you to imagine you are writing an exam question and you are answering it. That is the purpose. To practice so that you can be able to answer these questions. Saka mukakurumidza kundipa ndokupaiwo feedback nekukurumidza so that munopinda muexam muri prepared.
Okay, doc.
Okay, so toenda zveduka.
Pakanaka hapo kuti apabati because the assignment yacho it's a bit confusing though, but tangoitawo zvatinenge tichangonzwisisawo then mozotigadzisa from there. I think matozopindawo muexam tinenge
Those are typical exam questions, handitika?
yeah.
Pamwe panogona kunge paine nequestion yakatodaro.
Yeah, that's true. Saka tikatokasa tasenda then maybe moyatsoti correcta kuti tofana kuzoanza sei tasangana at same question.
Ndo arikuti mukandipa manhige ndikamaka ndendichiita ndokupa inhige ndendichipa direction kuti ungadai waita so ndonge waita error
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Regai ndichiita zvimwe.
Okay, Doc. Matabasa. Maswera zvakanaka.
All right, thanks.